Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of our church tutorial. It's not really a church tutorial anymore, it's a church scene tutorial. We finished up our model for the guy who needs it, and now we're just going to go and expand on it and maybe use the assets for other games, put it out for free, learn from it, whatever. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so today I have decided that we're going to add some iron wroughts, or wrought iron, whatever you call it. Let's go and find our reference images, buildings. I like this one. G to grab. Oh, first I'm going to press N on the side view, bring up my shortcuts, start the shortcuts. So now you guys will be able to see it, and let's put them on the right side. There we go. So now you'll see what I am pressing. And to close that, I like this design. I don't really like, well, I mean, the whole thing is nice, but I'm thinking of just a simpler piece of this that I want to go across the top here and around the roof. So I like this bottom square section, and well, let's start with the bottom square section. Okay, so let's go. How can we make that? Shift A, mesh circle. 32 vertices, sure. G to grab, X, bring it over. R to rotate on the X-axis. Type in 90, enter. Tab into edit mode. 1 for vertex select. And then we'll just grab some vertices here and we'll scale them in. Right click to get out of that. Press O for proportional editing. Then S again. And now we can use our mouse to scroll up and scroll down how much we want to pull in. That looks good. Let's go ahead and just rotate this on the Y 45 degrees so we can kind of see what that looks like. Bring this up here. Tab back in, scale. Sure, that looks good. I like that. Let's go tab out. Let's go into add modifier. It's a little wrench here. Add modifier. I'm going to add a skin. Tab back in, and then we'll do A to select all, and then Control A to scale. And we'll press O to turn off proportional editing. Control A to scale. We'll bring this down until we have something we like. That looks good. Press Z, go over to wireframe. I kind of want this to come in a little bit more, so I'll just grab these vertices, scale. How's that look? That looks pretty good. Kind of looks like a clover or something. Okay, and then we've got some minor details, some little pokey things, whatever those are. So let's go into wireframe view, grab the vertices, these vertices where we want those little pokey things. Press E to extrude, and then S to scale. Now hold down Shift, and we'll just bring it in slightly. Actually, we'll just S to scale. We'll just bring this in without holding Shift. How's that look? Wireframe, whoops. Maybe a bit too big, we'll scale it back. Yeah, let's try that. Back into wireframe. Okay, I like that. Tab out, solid view, and we can apply the skin modifier. I think we're done. How's that look? Yeah, that looks good to me. Press Control A, or you can select the down arrow, click apply. Tab back into edit mode. I'm going to press 3 for face select. I'm just going to grab these 3 faces. Just want to make them a little bit smaller. And then scale them in like that. No, that's not what I want. How do I do individual scaling? I think it's Alt S. Interesting, but no. Control S. No, that just saved it. Shift S. Nope. Alt Shift S. Okay. S. If we look at the bottom here, we can see a couple of options. Snap target, snap invert, Z plane. X-axis, resize, rotate, automatic constraint. Does that do anything? No, it doesn't. Shift, right click. Nope. Scale, G. Nope. Scale. Interesting. Okay. Well, we can't just kind of do it by hand. I mean, that would have been quicker. Figured there would have been a scale individual. Scale individual. Is there no scale individual? Scale. I'll have to look that up after. Okay, front view. Looking pretty good. And we've also got 4 bars around it. So let's go ahead and create a cube. G to grab, bring it over here, scale it down, bring it over. I'll press G and X, and we'll hold down Control to snap to the vertex there. If you don't have snapping, you can come up here, select vertex, and then if it's off, you can hold Control to enable it, or you can leave it on, or you can manually turn it on there, and then bring it over like this. I prefer to just press Control when I'm using it, or when I need it. Let's go to side view, G and Y, looks good. Oops, G and Y. Okay, let's go face select. Let's bring this up, G and Z. Bring that up to the top vert. Grab this bottom face, G and Z, bring it down. There we go. You know what? I don't really like that it's a square. I'm going to delete that, Shift A. I'm going to make a cylinder. Let's just give it 5 verts. Okay, that looks good. G to grab, scale it in. There we go. How's that look for proportions? Looks good to me. 3 for face select. Grab this top face. Back into front view. G and Z. Do the same thing for the bottom. G and Z. How's that look? Control plus plus. I'm going to scale this down. Hold down Shift Z so it doesn't scale up and down. G and X. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. Centered, perfect. Okay, and then we need a bar on the top and a bar on the bottom, so that we'll just use cubes for that. Where's our cube? Bring it over, scale it down. Whoops, scale it up a bit. G, there we go. Tab into edit mode, 3 for face, G and X, bring it over. G and X, and we'll just find the furthest vert. Looks good. Let's check the front for proportions. It's kind of a flatter bar, hey? So let's just tab in, top face, bring it down. That looks good. How's it look on the side there? Actually, let's go this way. Control plus plus. G and Y. Center it. Looks good. Front view. Tab into solid view, or Z solid view. And we will just Shift D, duplicate it, bring it down. And G and Z, snap it. And why is it over like that? What's going on here? What happened? G and Z. So it moved over slightly. How did it do that? G, Z. Shift D. Right click. G, Z. I guess I let go of control there slightly. Okay. Front view. That looks good. And then we kind of have a bit of a spike sticking out of the bottom there. I'm going to add that because you got to have something sticking into the roof here. So tab into this. Z wireframe, 3 for face select. Grab this face, we'll bring it down, snap it to that bottom vertex. And then we're just going to extrude, E to extrude, bring it down, and then S to scale. Tab or Z into solid view. How's that look? I like that. It's a bit too thick, so let's do Control++, and then I'll do scale, S to scale, and I'll do Shift Z because I don't want it to go up and down. I just want it to go left to right, forward and back. Scale it down so it kind of fits in there nicely. Move it a bit, scale, Shift Z. There we go, that looks better. It's not quite touching the bar. We want it touching the bar. Yeah, I want it touching the bar. So do G and X to grab, bring this over, and then I'm just going to have to tab in these two faces, G and X, bring them right over. Okay. I think that looks good. I think we're ready to duplicate this. So check this, make sure our mirror modifier has been applied. Check these other objects, hold down Shift. So we have all of them selected, press Control J, creates one object. Looking good. And then we can do Shift A, Control A, and we'll apply the rotation and scale. And then we'll go to add a new modifier, wrench, add new modifier, and then we'll do array. And right now you can kind of see where this is going. So we can up this to maybe like 10. Oh, you know what? We forgot to put the little piece on top. Okay, so we'll close that out. And we will do a mesh, Shift A, mesh, plane. Bring that over. Tab into edit mode. Press M to merge at center. Press 1 for vertex select. Grab that vertice. Bring it down. Maybe we want it there. Extrude, E to extrude along the Z. And it kind of branches out there. It's kind of got 3 little branches. So then we'll extrude like this. Grab this middle one again. Extrude like this. And then grab this one. Extrude like this. Maybe we'll just space these out with G slightly. So we kind of have a similar shape. Tab in object mode. Press add skin. Tab back in, A to select all, Control A to scale. Bring this right down. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's do Z, wireframe, so we can see this middle vertex. Control A. Okay, it makes the middle bar, I'll show you, it makes the middle bar a bit too thick. So we can fix that by press 2 on the keyboard. Select this edge, W, subdivide, then press 1 for vertex select. Now we have this extra vertice here. We can press G to grab, and then we can press G again to lock it along that edge. And we'll just bring it up slightly. There we go. Then we'll grab this middle one again, Control A, scale it up. There. That looks good. Looks really good. So one thing we need to watch out for when we're using the skin modifier, go to wireframe, is if we start scaling things up, we're going to start getting mesh issues. As you can see how it's snapping all over the place. So let's say I left it there in solid view. See, this face isn't working, this face isn't working, we've got overlapping faces. So I'll just Control Z undo. So when you're adjusting this, just keep an eye on the wireframe. Oops, edit. Oh, no, don't go back too far. Redo. There we go. Looks perfect. So we can go ahead and apply the skin mesh. Oh, doesn't work, so we got to tab out of edit. Control A, apply. Front view. Let's bring this down. GY. And now we want to join this to our other mesh. So this one's selected, and then hold down Shift. This one, Control J. There we go. Then we can go back to our wrench, add modifier, array. There we go. That's looking a lot better. Let's add 10 of them. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's bring it over to church, scale it down. Scale it down. How's that look? G and Z, G. Snap it. You press G and Y. Whoops. G, Y. Is there a vertex to snap to? There is. That looks pretty good. So this looks pretty good. Let's just go into render view. It looks pretty nice. I like that. Unfortunately, if you're making this for a video game, this is not acceptable. Because if we tab into this, oops, let's click apply our array modifier. We tab into this. We have 4,500 vertices, or 4,500 faces. There is one thing we can do, because we didn't clean up these curves here. We can do X, limited dissolve. Whoa, what happened? Why did that happen? Oh, that's not good. What caused that? That is interesting. I've never seen that happen. Alright, so I don't know why that is happening. I looked online, played around with a bunch of settings, tried to remodel it. It didn't. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there. X limited dissolve, it's still doing it. So if you're ever going to use a skin modifier, you're going to want to use a limited dissolve after. I've been using limited dissolve for a few years now, and I've never had this issue before. I'll show you why, because if you make any straight lines, let's press Z, wireframe, just B to grab all these. These are unnecessary faces. There's just, what is it, 61 faces here? Completely unnecessary. So we press X, limited dissolve. Now we're down to 4. Or 5, apparently. There's a face in there. Okay. So it's completely unnecessary. There's no reason to keep them. It's just going to slow down your game if they add up over time. It doesn't help with the lighting, nothing. So you always want to remove them. But for some reason, these ones don't want to remove. But that's okay for this time, because we're actually going to project these onto a texture. And this is going to be the most performant way to get high detail in our games. So go back into solid view, unselect all, looks pretty good. Let's take our total faces, 4,400 faces. We're going to take 4,400 faces and push it all the way down to one face, 4 verts. That's what we're going to do. So let's go to front view. Let's grab this, G to grab, focus in. And now we want our camera to be looking directly at this without any perspective. So where's our camera? Alt R to zero out the rotation. Go into camera view. And then where's our grates? Let's grab our grates, rotate on the X 90, zoom in. That's upside down, so we'll rotate on the X 180. Go to our camera view, period on the numpad. Oops, 0 on the numpad. And what we can do is go to our camera view. Where's our camera? Select the camera on the side, camera tab, and we're going to do orthographic. And then we can adjust the scale. And we can also adjust the output here. Where is it? This tab, output properties. We don't want 1920 by 1080. We're not taking a nice screenshot. We're just going to do a square. So 1024 by 1024. There we go. 100%. Go back to our camera. Adjust our scale again so that it fits right in there. And then we will shift it along the y-axis, bring it down. Because this is actually going to Because we're using this texture for this iron wrought thing, we have all this excess wasted textures. So we might as well just, or texture space. So we might as well just move this down, and then later on we can add more wroughts in, or maybe door details or something else. Let's move this plane out of the way. Let's select this plane, M, move it to a unused collection. There we go. Camera view. Looks good. Let's go to our world settings. Is it world settings? Because we want the background to be transparent. Is it camera settings? Okay, so yeah, it's film. Under your render properties, select film, transparent. There we go. And now we don't want the world lighting that I put in here because I was using some HDR stuff, so we'll take that out. Environment texture, we'll just do principled. Actually, let's delete that, press X. Just create a new default world. See what that looks like rendered. Okay, there's no lighting. Let's press Shift A. Let's add a light, sunlight. Go back into material view. And then we can select our sun. We can give it some more brightness, maybe 4. How does that look? Okay, nice and bright. Okay, let's go to our UV editor. Let's find our grate, or our iron wrought, sorry. Tab into edit mode, U, project from view. And then we'll go to the materials tab, and we're actually going to have to create a new material for this. Doesn't really matter what we name it, but we can just keep up the good practice. And now we can select the color we want, or we can use a texture, whatever you want. I'm going to use a, I don't know, I'm going to have to play around here a bit, see what we can get. Let's do material preview. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Kind of like a dark, dirty blue. Oh, that looks kind of good. It's a bit of a gray. What about a red? Let's see, what is the color of our roof? Let's do material preview. So it's already a blue, so let's do a UV editing. Let's do a kind of a dirty green blue. Bring it down. It's kind of hard to tell because it kind of washes in with the background. Okay, that looks good. That looks good to me. If you want the same color, it's 3D4646 on the hex code. And now we can go to our... Oh no, we haven't even rendered it out yet. Okay. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Okay, so now we've set it up. We set the color. We've got our camera set up. We've got the perspective set up. We've got the lighting set up. If you want, you can adjust the lighting. This is not rendered view? Rendered view. Okay, the sun's a bit too bright. Let's bring it down to 1, 4. Give it a warm sun. Well, it's too warm. Just play around with these settings. See what you like. Okay, that looks good. Now, we can press F12. We can render this out as a texture. And there we go. File, save as. Where is our textures folder? We are in our textures folder. You can save over the one I already made previously. Save as. Close this. Go back to our layout. And let's find our grate. There it is. Rotate X 90. Front view. G. So this is our original one. And now we're going to create... Whoops, let's bring this all the way back. Now we're going to create a plane. So mesh, Shift A, mesh plane. Rotate X 90. And then we'll just bring it over here. Scale it on the Z. Bring it down. Tab into edit mode, 2 for edge select, G, X, grab that. slide it right over, grab this edge, GX, slide it right over. And now we're going to use this plane, whoops, GY. We're going to use this plane and project or put that texture that we just made on. So let's go into UV editing. Where did our plane go? There it is. Period to zoom in on it. We can go back into material view. Press U to unwrap, project from view. We can come over here and we can open. Actually, we can give this a new material. Call it whatever you want. Base color, we'll select image texture. Open our image texture. Textures. Bring in our new wrought iron. Okay. And now we can see it down here. Press A to select all, G to grab, bring it down. Make sure all the texture's in there. Yep. GY, bring it down. Scale Y, scale it down slightly so we can get more texture in there. Okay, it looks good. One issue is we have no transparency. So what we can do is go into our shader tab. If you're using Unity, you would stop here, save it, and export. And then in Unity, you would select a transparent material, and then you would just drop the texture in and it'll work for you. Or Unreal Engine, whatever. But if you're using Blender, we're going to go and select this face. Why is that? Okay, yeah, object. So make sure you select object over here, not world. And we got our principled shader, the BSDF. We can do Shift A, and we'll type in not translucent, transparent. Bring in a transparent shader. We'll do Shift A, search. We'll bring in a mix shader. And now we're going to mix the principled shader, which is the basic lighting stuff we have right now, with the transparent shader. So bring this up here, bring this transparent shader over here, and then we're going to bring in the alpha from this PNG into the factor on the mix shader. And then we'll grab that shader and send it over to the surface of the material option, or the material output. That sounds a little complicated, but just try to follow the lines and connect them up. Go back to layout. Still nothing's transparent. So what we can do with this selected, we'll go over to the right side. We'll go to Material tab. And if we scroll down, we now have a few more options here. We have Settings, Sampling, nope. Where is it? Viewport Display, Settings. And so now for blend mode, we want to do Alpha Blend. And there we go. We have our transparent texture. Now let's go to camera view. Whoops. What is going on here? Okay, tab. Let's reset our camera. Select the camera. We'll turn it back to perspective. We'll set a 35mm film. Do our render settings, our output settings, sorry. 1920 by 1080. Press 0 on the numpad for camera view. Shift middle mouse to move this around. Shift tilde key to bring up our FPS controls. Let's get a nice view here. And then we will press F12 to render. Okay, our render is done. I adjusted the camera slightly just so you guys can see that there are shadows projected from both the model from the top left and the texture from the bottom right here. You get those same shadows through the texture. You get shadows being cast onto the texture where it's supposed to be, but you're not going to get real-time reflections. So like if there was a sharp sun or a flashlight or something, it's not going to reflect off each individual piece. That's kind of a limitation of this, but you get, it looks exactly the same aside from the coloring just because of the way the sun's set up, but it looks exactly the same. One costs 4,400 vertices, another one costs 4. So it's a really great option for you. It's easy to do. Once you get used to it, it's really quick. And if you never needed the real-time lighting, you can do bump lighting, and that's a whole nother thing. You can get it working, and again, that'll be super quick as well with a low poly count. So that looks good. I'm going to go ahead, tab into material view. I'm not going to delete this. I'm just going to move this off to our parts selection, or our parts collection, I should say. I'll grab this, Shift D, bring this over on the X, the end there, so I'll rotate it 180, G and X, bring it in. Sure, that looks fine. And then we will do Shift D, rotate Z 90 degrees, minus 90. And I'll just bring this over here. Side view. And that can just run right into the wall. That's fine. Not a big deal there. Material preview. There we go. We've added some really nice detail for a very low cost. This is a total of 12 vertices, and we got some really great detail. Let's go ahead and render it one more time. Adjust the camera slightly. And there's the final render. Look at the way the shadows cast along the roof here and on the wall. That's amazing. I love that shadowing in the background on the ground. I really like this technique. It's very low cost. You can have all this great detail, and you can put it into mobile games, and nobody's going to bat an eye. Nobody's going to give you a bad review. So I hope you guys like this. We're going to add more to this scene. Come back for part 4.